When my son-in-law tried to rob me at midnight, he uncovered our dark family secret. It was a night that felt like it was pulled right out of a horror movie. The clock struck midnight, each chime echoing throughout the empty halls of the old family home. The moon hung high, casting eerie shadows through the narrow windows. It was on this chilling night that everything changed. The door creaked open, and in walked Danny, my son-in-law, a man I once trusted. Little did I know, the darkness of our family's past was about to spill out like a heavy fog rolling in from nowhere. Danny, always the charming joker, had a glint in his eye that night, but it was different, a wild edge. It sent a shiver down my spine. As he stepped inside, I noticed something paler than the moonlight. It was the look of desperation etched into his features, a mixture of fear and greed. My heart raced. What was he hiding? I could almost taste the tension in the air, thick and suffocating. When he reached into his coat, I expected a joke or some ridiculous prank. Instead, he pulled out a small, glimmering knife. It caught the light, sending a jolt of dread through my entire body. "I need money, and I need it now," he said, his voice low and tremulous. He was serious. Footsteps echoed in the distance, and the floorboards groaned under the weight of secrets that were lurking, waiting to be uncovered. But this wasn't just about the money. There was something bigger at play. The family heirloom, a necklace that had been passed down for generations, held a truth buried deep into our history, a truth that tied us together in ways I had never imagined. Danny's eyes darted around the room, as if he were looking for something more than just the necklace. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." The tension in the room shot up like a balloon ready to burst. There I was, standing frozen in shock, while the walls seemed to close in around us. Couldn't he hear the distant whispers of our family's past? Couldn't he feel that old necklace pulsing with the weight of secrets, alive with the history of a family bound not just by blood, but by tangled lies? What could he discover if he kept pushing? Would he really dig deep enough to bring forth the shadows lurking just below the surface? The questions hung in the air like a storm cloud, ready to unleash its fury. I couldn't let him take that necklace, but what would I do? The answer lay somewhere between fear and betrayal, and as I felt my chest tighten, I knew that this midnight encounter was just the beginning. What had Danny walked into? I could see turbulence in his eyes, and as I stepped back, I realized the real robbery had begun. Our tangled destinies were about to unravel in ways none of us could foresee. The knife glinted under the moonlight, its sharp edge reflecting the gravity of the moment. Danny's breath came in short, frantic gasps, as if he were on the brink of running. I felt like a deer caught in headlights, each heartbeat pulsing louder than the last. My mind raced. What had driven him to this desperate act? Was it just money? Or was there something deeper? "Danny, put the knife down," I managed to speak, voice trembling, surprise mixing with urgency. His gaze flickered but remained fixed on me, searching for any sign of weakness, any hint of fear that he could exploit. My pulse quickened, the silence thickening between us. It was as if the very walls listened, waiting for the secrets long buried to come to the surface. "You don't understand," he hissed, stepping closer, knife heavily poised. "They won't stop until I pay. I need that necklace. It's not just about us anymore." Each word sliced through my composure, stinging. I felt the weight of the family heirloom around my neck, the very item he'd come for. "It's not what you think. The necklace isn't just money. It's just give it to me," he shouted, cutting me off. The tremor in his voice betrayed his own fear. His eyes gleamed with a mix of desperation and something darker. I had never seen this side of him before. My heart raced, pumping adrenaline through my veins. Before I could respond, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed from the hallway beyond the door, echoing through the silence that had settled like dust. We exchanged a glance, fear locking us in place. I could almost hear the heartbeat of the house itself, pulse quickening, as if it knew that a storm was about to break. "Someone's coming." I whispered, instinctively backing away, hoping to create distance. Think about what you're doing. His expression shifted, a flicker of panic crossing his face, but greed fought it down. If they find me empty-handed, I won't just lose money. I'll lose everything. A sense of urgency hung around his words, almost palpable. Then crunching footsteps sounded closer, slowing, as if lingering on the edge of a decision. I knew my life depended on quick thinking. Danny, listen. If you run, they'll catch you. You don't want this to escalate. What's really going on here? The moment stretched. He struggled with himself, inner turmoil wrestling with survival instincts. I'll explain later. Just hand it over. Suddenly, in a moment that felt both surreal and explosive, the door swung open with a force that echoed like thunder, revealing the silhouette of an imposing figure in the doorway. My heart dropped. It was my son Matthew, a choice between duty and familial loyalty echoing in his eyes. Between us stood the threshold of betrayal and trust, a storm brewing, ready to unleash. Mom, what's going on? Matthew asked, tension thick in his voice, his eyes darting between us. Time froze. I just brought my son into a web of chaos. But now it wasn't just about protecting the necklace or keeping my son safe. It was about facing the truth that our family had tried so hard to bury. I could feel the weight of our secrets inching closer, hungry, waiting to pounce. Everything could change in a heartbeat. Would I finally reveal the truth that could shatter our lives? As I opened my mouth to speak, a jagged scream erupted outside, raw and piercing. Our family's secrets, I realized, were almost ready to be unleashed. But at what cost? What awaited us out there in the dark? The scream echoed in my ears like a gunshot, sharp and piercing, shattering the thick tension between us. Matthew flinched, eyes wide with confusion and fear. I could see him struggling to process the surreal scene unfolding in front of him, his mother backed against the wall, trembling, and Danny, knife in hand, his expression a twisted mask of desperation. What is happening? Matthew demanded, voice strained. He stepped into the room, but instinctively I reached out, grasping his arm, pulling him back. I couldn't let him get too close to the knife. Stay away, I urged, my voice a frantic whisper. Danny, please. This isn't the answer. Danny's eyes darted from me to Matthew and back again. Each breath he took heavy with a mixture of fear and anger. The knife glinted ominously as he shifted, but I knew deep down he was scared too. His grip tightened on the handle, knuckles white, and I realized just how far he must have fallen to be standing here, ready to take everything down with him. Another scream erupted from outside, more frightening than the last, a raw outcry that sent a chill down my spine. My heart raced as I realized that the darkness beyond was teeming with unknown dangers. Panic crept up my throat, fiery and relentless, threatening to spill over. Why don't you tell him the truth? Danny's voice rose, filled with a raw desperation that echoed through the small room. This isn't just about the necklace. It's about what she's been hiding. No, just stop. I pleaded, desperate to regain control. I couldn't let him drag Matthew into this. Couldn't let our family's demons claw their way into the light. Danny, we can work this out. Let us talk. You don't have to do this. His gaze wavered for the briefest moment, a flicker of uncertainty breaking through the storm of panic. The knife wavered in his grip. But just then, the sound of heavy boots thudded against the wooden floor of the hallway, louder, more insistent, like the drum of an approaching storm. We need to get out of here, Matthew urged, his voice sharp. Someone's coming. No, Danny shouted, his fear morphing into desperation once more. No one's leaving until I get that necklace. I felt the air thicken, time hanging like a pendulum about to swing. My mind screamed at me to act, to protect my son, to shield him from this spiraling chaos. Matthew, go. Get out of here while you can. Not without you, he cried, stepping firmly in front of me. There was something brave in his stance, but it frightened me too. What if he was willing to risk everything to protect me? Suddenly a loud crash sounded from outside, like glass shattering. It was the kind of noise that sent every hair on the back of my neck standing on end. Adrenaline surged through me, electrifying and terrifying all at once. Danny, just listen, what's really going on? Who are they? I asked, hoping to snap him back to reason. They're coming for me, he hissed, bringing the knife closer, his eyes wild. And if you don't hand it over now, they'll do worse than kill me. My heart raced, pounding with the weight of his words. Had someone put him up to this? What had he gotten himself mixed up in? I took a deep breath. Danny, you have to trust me. We can get you out of this. But just then the doorframe trembled as a powerful blow hit it from the other side. Open up. Police! Boomed a voice deep and commanding. Another loud thud against the door. Panic surged through me. The choice before us was terrifying. Would I throw Danny to the wolves or risk everything to save him, even if it meant unleashing the very secrets that could destroy our family? The door rattled violently, and I knew time was running out. Would I betray a man who once loved me while trying to protect my own? And then out of the swirling chaos, a fragment of hidden truth surged, a truth I feared might break us all. What awaited us on the other side of that door? The air smelled of sweat and fear. Danny's eyes darted around the room, the wildness mixed with desperation as he seemed to weigh his options. Each thud against the door made the minute hand of time twist and coil tighter in my chest. I will never let them take me, he shouted, shaking the knife as if it held all the answers. The jagged edge glinted in the dim light, a symbol of his fraying sanity and shattered trust. Don't you get it? They'll kill me. Danny. I tried again, knowing my words were a thread hanging by its last frayed edge. Let us talk. We're family. You're still family, remember? Family. He laughed bitterly, the sound harsh and jagged. Family is the reason I'm in this mess. His voice cracked with emotion, and I could see the turmoil inside him writhe like a caged animal. Matthew's grip tightened around my arm. He was scared, confused. I turned to him, trying to convey reassurance, but panic surged in me like tides crashing against the shore. Was I really going to risk everything for the man who had just threatened my child? A sound broke through my thoughts, a faint rustling outside the door. Mom? Matthew? The voice unmistakably belonged to my sister. We need to get you out of there. Lila! I shouted, desperation spilling into my voice. Get away. It's not safe. But the door banged again, the force shaking the frame. Every utterance felt like a countdown. My mind raced. Should I unleash our darkest secrets to save Danny? The things I had kept buried so deep. The truths that swirled like shadows in the corners of my mind? Mom! Matthew's voice cut through the haze. They'll break in. We have to move. No, we had to keep Danny safe. But what if he was too far gone? The thuds grew more frantic, the police relentless in their attempts to get us out. A shattering boom echoed as the door splintered under the pressure. I could see shards of wood flying everywhere, my heart pounding harder with each splinter that flew by. It's too late. Danny roared, the knife trembling in his hand. You think they'll listen? They'll see me as a monster. No, Matthew shouted back, the boy in front of me disappearing into someone stronger, someone willing to protect. You have to trust us, Danny. Just put down the knife. The weight of choice wrapped around me like barbed wire. I had to intervene to try to reach him once more. Danny, think about Lucy. I yelled, invoking the name of his daughter like it was a lifeline. She needs her dad. This isn't you. This isn't what you want. He faltered, a flicker of recognition flickering behind his terrified eyes. But before the light could grow, the door collapsed inward. Officers stormed into the room, badges gleaming bright, weapons drawn. Time froze. The world tilted on its axis. I took an involuntary step forward, my heart in my throat, fear and regret twisting like knives. Put down the weapon. An officer barked, urgency flooding the air. My hand shook, my voice barely a whisper, Danny. But instead of surrendering, his fight returned, the desperation morphing into something darker. He lurched forward, knife raised, and I heard a gasp, definitely Matthew, definitely terrified. The officers moved as one, but I couldn't see what was happening. The chaos unraveled before my eyes, screams mixing and swirling like a storm. And then, a shot rang out. My heart dropped, the instant echo of the gunshot resonating deep within me. Silence. A breath held in the room, defying reality. What had just happened? Had I lost him? As the smoke and dust settled, the truth seemed to writhe just out of reach. What lay before me could shatter everything I held dear, everything I thought I understood about my family. What have I done? I whispered, stepping into the void, no idea what awaited me in the aftermath. But one thing was certain. A reckoning was here. And the secrets that might expose us lay just beneath the surface, waiting for the moment to be revealed. What would happen next? The room felt like it was holding its breath. The stillness after the shot was deafening, each heartbeat radiating a sense of doom that pressed down on my shoulders. I blinked, trying to focus on the scene before me. Danny lay crumpled on the floor, the knife slipping from his grip, clattering to the ground, a sound that shattered the fragile silence. "Mom, what is happening?" Matthew's voice pierced through the fog, a mix of confusion and terror that threatened to push me into despair. I turned to him, hoping to find some threads of reassurance, but his wide eyes reflected my own panic. "Stay back, honey. Don't come any closer," I sputtered, my voice trembling. The officers moved, cautiously stepping forward, weapons still drawn but tension flickering in their eyes. One of them knelt next to Danny, checking for signs of life while two others scanned the room, their expressions a mix of concentration and urgency. I could feel the air thicken with anxiety, the reality of the situation crashing down like a tidal wave. Is he dead?" Matthew asked, his voice cracking. I could see the fear crawl beneath his skin, a reality he wasn't ready to face. "I don't know." My words were a raw gasp, but I could already feel the weight of loss tightening around my heart. Memories of Danny the brother, the father swam in my mind, intertwined with the chaos of today. This wasn't just some fleeting moment. This was irrevocable, a fracture in the family that felt insurmountable. "Someone get a medic," an officer called, the urgency flowing through his words like rushing water. I dropped to my knees, tears welling as I grasped for any shred of hope that he'd be okay. My fingers brushed the floor, aware of every small detail, the dust, the cold, the terrifying reality that lay ahead. But what about Lucy? Matthew's desperate whisper hit me like a slap. I froze. How could I forget about her? She was only a child, unaware of the storm brewing in her family's home. My heart twisted with the thought of her innocent laughter shattered by this chaos. Was she safe? Did she even know what was happening? Suddenly, from the corners of the room, the murmurs of chaos collected like storm clouds. Other officers flooded in, and I could hear them exchanging urgent words, questions, and orders. "Where's the other family member?" one shouted. The implication was clear, they were looking for Lila. I struggled to my feet, scanning the faces of the officers, praying to see Lila among them, but finding only stern, focused expressions. My heart pounded as I realized Lila had run into the danger I desperately tried to shield her from. "Lila!" My voice tore from my throat, louder than I intended, revealing all that was unspoken, all the things I wished I could take back, all the truths I feared would surface if she were forced to confront them. What if she got caught in the crossfire of scrutiny? What if Danny's actions unspooled our family's secrets? "Stay back," an officer warned me, holding out a hand as he swept through the chaos. "This is a crime scene now. You might be a witness." But witness to what? The downfall of a family? The unraveling of everything we built? Matthew squeezed my hand, grounding me, but the moments felt suspended, like we were all trapped inside a real-life nightmare. "No one's leaving until we sort this out," the officer barked, and I felt the panic rise again. The reality was stark and brutal. We were caged in our own lives, and the key was buried in the secrets we thought we could keep hidden. As the medics finally arrived, a new wave of uncertainty swept through me. Would they bring hope or sorrow? And then came a voice from somewhere in the chaos, muffled yet familiar. "I'm here. I'm here." Lila burst into the room, breathless, her eyes wide, scanning for danger, searching for me. All at once I felt the room shift. The clamor surrounding us didn't matter. Her arrival felt like a beacon of light in a storm. But was that light going to expose what lay beneath? The questions crashed against my mind like waves. What would happen now? Would we face our demons together? Or would we be washed away in the secrets we never dared to confront? Lila's wide eyes found me, and it felt as if time had paused. In that moment, everything else fell away, the chaos, the officers, the blood pooling slowly beneath Danny. She surged toward me, fear radiating from her like heat, and I reached for her, pulling her into my arms. "Mom, what is happening?" she gasped, her words tumbling out faster than I could answer. I wanted to shield her from the truth, to wrap her in a cocoon of safety amidst the storm that had just erupted in our lives. But the truth was a slippery monster, lurking in the shadows, and I had no choice but to face it. Lila, it's okay, just stay with me, I managed, my voice shaky but desperate. The smell of burnt gunpowder hung in the air, mingling with the metallic scent of blood. I wanted to scream that it wasn't okay, but the words tangled in my throat. My heart thudded painfully, echoing the sense of dread that settled over us. The officers were methodical now, working as if choreographed. One was on the phone relaying details, while another began questioning witnesses, those cold, clinical eyes roving over the room, accusing and assessing. Matthew's grip tightened around my hand, his fingers trembling. What are they gonna do? He whispered, mouth trembling. I don't know, I admitted. The medics were focused on Danny, and with every passing second, I could see Matthew's anxiety spike. This wasn't just a crime scene, a fracture had opened, exposing wounds that ran deeper than the visible. Lila tugged on my arm, her small face creased in confusion. What happened to Uncle Danny? Her words struck me like a slap. How do I even begin to explain this? I don't know, sweetheart. We just need to wait. I tried to keep my voice steady, but the truth loomed like a monster, ready to devour us whole. Cries of "Clear!" and "Stand back!" rang from the medics working on Danny. An officer approached, and suddenly I felt the weight of judgment on my shoulders. Ma'am, can we get your statement? My pulse raced. Did I even know what happened? Anger flared within me at the thought of having to recount Danny's final moments, the impact of his choices spiraling out of control. Would they see me as a victim, or would I, too, be scrutinized? Suddenly the room felt too small. I searched for Lila, her innocent spirit contrasting sharply with the gravity of the room. Then a scream split through the air, echoing back like a ghost. It was a woman's voice, trembling and raw. Where is he? Where is my husband? The chaos swelled as a new figure burst into the room, Lila's mother, rushing in from the hallway, disheveled and wild-eyed. Where is Danny? She called, her voice laced with panic that I felt my chest tighten further. I had always known Lila's mother as fierce and protective, but this was desperation incarnate. What if the truth fractured the already fragile family structure? Then the medic called out, a brisk urgency cracking through the murmurs, declaring he's gone. That single statement settled over us like a dark cloud. The room tilted, gravity refusing to cooperate. Shock rippled through the crowd, and I could see Lila's mother collapse against the wall, her face buried in her hands, as the reality crashed over each of us. Why? Lila whimpered. Why did everything change? The questioning, the agony, the secrets, it all intermingled, stitching dark threads into our tapestry. I glanced around the room once more, taking in Matthew's ashen face and Lila's innocent confusion, and knew that we were all teetering on the edge of something monumental. What other secrets would tumble out, and who would be left to pick up the pieces when all was said and done? I turned back to Lila, trying to shield her from the storm brewing within our family. But could a mother ever truly protect her children from the past? As sirens blared in the distance, I felt the first heavy drops of rain begin to fall against the window. And with them, the daunting realization that the storm outside mirrored the turmoil within. How far would this unraveling go? And would we be ready to face the fallout together? The heavy silence hung in the air, thick and foreboding. The sounds of sirens faded, replaced by the chilling reality of what we had just lost. I held Lila closer, desperate to absorb her trembling, small body into my own. Her innocence was slipping away, moment by moment, as the weight of uncertainty settled on us like a shroud. Mom? Lila's voice, quiet and small, cracked the silence. Yes, honey, I replied, fearing what she might say next. What if he wasn't alone? Her eyes, wide and shining with unshed tears, seemed to pierce through the chaos as if she sensed the truth, like a child sensing a storm brewing just beyond their window. My heart sank deeper. I don't know what you mean, sweetie, I murmured, glancing around the room where officers huddled over notepads, speaking in low tones, their faces grim. What if someone hurt him? What if it wasn't an accident? She pressed, her voice rising, the fear morphing into something sharp and dangerous. A lump formed in my throat, the possibility twisted in my mind, but I didn't want to voice it. I think it's best to wait for the police, I'm sure they'll figure it out. My attempt at calm felt hollow, heavy with the knowledge I sensed but could not express. Nearby, I caught Matthew's gaze, his thin lips pressed into a tight line. His eyes were wide, darting back and forth as he absorbed everything. Did he feel the same insistent dread clawing at his insides? Just then, Lila's mother, Julia, shifted. From the corner of my eye, I saw her scraping up the remnants of her composure, pushing away from the wall like a wounded animal rising from the dust. "What do you mean, not an accident?" she cried, her eyes flaring as she ripped through the fog of grief. The room crackled with tension, a live wire suspended in uncertainty. I could see the officers' heads snap to her direction, their attention caught, but it was the visceral outrage behind Julia's voice that demanded all our focus. "He has enemies." Julia launched into her accusations as if they were arrows, aiming at the heart of our confusion. "He was involved in things he shouldn't have been." The detectives moved carefully, as they always did when a crime's murky underbelly emerged. "What do you mean?" one asked her, pressing for details. The gentle probing felt sharp, dangerous. Beside me, Lila shivered, her small hands gripping my sweater. The realization that her Uncle Danny was entangled in something dark pierced through the pain. "I don't want to know. I just want him back," Lila whimpered, and my heart broke at the raw honesty of her plea. The room felt smaller as conversations fluttered, capturing pieces of information like moths drawn to the flame. Whispers of debts and an elusive figure flitted through the air, adding to the growing dread. How tangled had Danny's web become, and were we all caught in it, whether we wanted to be or not? Then the lead officer, a heavy-set man with a furrowed brow, walked briskly toward us. "Ladies, listen carefully. We have reason to believe there may be others involved. Someone may come looking for answers, for revenge." His words hung in the air, thick with menace. The truth was like poison spread across a feast, each bite promising to reveal the unity of family and its fragility. Lila gasped, instinctively clutching my side. The depth of this crisis reached shadows I had hoped would never surface. "Mom?" Lila's voice was barely above a whisper now. "Are we safe?" For a fleeting moment I glanced toward the door. The officers had barricaded it earlier. But what if someone else were lurking, waiting for the right moment? "Just stay close to me, okay?" I said, the shaky assurance barely satisfactory, felt more like a prayer than a promise. A shiver slithered down my spine. What lay ahead of us felt far darker than I had imagined. How many secrets had been buried beneath the surface, and how many more would claw their way closer to the light? With every passing moment, the storm outside raged more fiercely, mirroring the turmoil within. And behind the fear, another question gripped me. Was this just the beginning of a reckoning that had been years in the making? As I held my daughter tightly against me, the walls felt unsteady, and I braced for the storm we were about to face. What other truths lay hidden in the shadows? Would we survive this unveiling? Or would it unravel everything we thought we knew? The atmosphere in the room grew heavier, saturated with unspoken fears and barely contained truths. Officers continued their whispered deliberations, while worry etched deeper lines into their faces. I watched as Lila squeezed my hand tighter. Her warmth contrasted against the growing chill that seeped from the walls. I fought my instincts, battling against the rising urgency in my chest. "We have to stay calm." The words slipped from my lips, sounding feeble even to my own ears. I turned to Julia, who was pacing like a caged animal, her despair morphing into determination. "Who could it be?" she demanded, her voice rising. "Who would want to hurt Danny?" "Anyone involved in those things he did," I replied, my voice trembling. The uncertainty hung over us like a dark cloud. The thought of enemies lurking just outside the door gnawed at me. "Come on," Matthew interjected, his youthful bravado struggling against the overwhelming weight of the moment. "There's no point sitting here waiting. We should find out ourselves." His voice was shaky, betraying the fear he was trying to mask. Before I could respond, the lead officer returned, his face grim as he surveyed the gathered crowd. "I need to ask everyone to remain here. Please don't leave the building until we've conducted a thorough investigation," he announced, looking at us with a mix of authority and concern. "Why? Because we're in danger?" Julia shot back, her emotions cascading into anger. "We deserve to know what's going on. My brother is dead." The air grew taut, heavy with collective anxiety. His gaze darted over us and he hesitated, as if weighing his next words carefully. "There are indications that Danny was involved in something much larger than we anticipated. We need to take precautions." Lila's small voice broke through the tension again. What do you mean larger? I pressed my lips together, unsure if I wanted her to hear the truth swirling in my mind. I could see the man's hesitation, the way his brow furrowed deeper. That's what we're trying to figure out, he replied slowly. Please, I need everyone to stay put. As the words left his mouth, a loud bang erupted from the hallway outside, followed by shouts. My heart dropped, fear squeezing tightly around it. Feet shuffled nervously around me. Whispers erupted. Is someone breaking in? Someone murmured, quivering with fear. Stay calm. The officer barked, moving towards the door. Panic surged as reality collided with adrenaline. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, only held on to Lila, pressing her small frame against me. The noise escalated, glass shattered. And then just as suddenly there was silence. A new figure pushed through the door, disheveled, breathing heavily, and with wild eyes. It was Sam, Danny's old partner, the one he'd trusted. But trust had melted away into uncertainty. I could see the desperation etched into his features, the same mixture of fear and determination that I felt clawing at my chest. Get back! He shouted, stepping in as if to shield us. They're coming. We need to. The words began to tumble out in rapid-fire bursts, a frantic stream of information, yet I caught only fragments. They want blood. Danny was onto something he shouldn't have. Before he could finish, a shadow loomed larger in the doorframe and the tension snapped. Lila pressed against me, eyes wide, heart racing. The wind howled outside, shaking the very foundation of the building, blending with the chaos inside. Who's coming, Sam? I questioned, my voice barely above a whisper, as cold realization hung heavily in the air. A moment stretched, taut like a wire ready to snap. The implications unfurled in my mind like dark smoke, filling every crevice. What have we stepped into? I thought as dread filled my veins. The first footstep echoed ominously, and I knew we might have only moments left. Would we face the truth together? Or would it swallow us whole? Just as the shadow coalesced into a figure, the tension in the room reached a breaking point. Sam's wild eyes darted around, consuming the fear around him. We have to move now, he urged, his voice edged with panic. Lila tightened her grip on my arm, her small frame trembling. I could feel her heartbeat sinking with the growing thud of fear echoing in the room. The officer in charge hesitated, caught between duty and the palpable terror radiating from us. Sam, just slow down. What do you mean they're coming? I pressed, my mind racing with 100 fears. I can't explain right now. Just know that Danny was deeper into something than we thought. They know he was getting close. And now they're looking for anyone connected to him. Sam's words clawed at my insides, twisting the knife of uncertainty deeper. What do you want us to do? Where do we go? Julia demanded, her voice shaking but fierce, a rising tide against the encroaching storm. Get to the back exit. We have to get out, there's no time. Sam's urgency was a monstrous pulse, shaking us out of our inaction. The windows rattled again, and the whispers outside grew louder, more menacing, like hounds closing in on their prey. The officer seemed torn, his duty to protect us battling his instincts. We have to hold this position. We can't just leave, he started, but was cut off by another loud crash from the hallway, panic spilling over. The crowd surged. People began shoving toward the back exit, fear igniting primal instincts. My heart thundered as I helped Lila weave through the throng. Sam led the way, his posture taut, ready for anything as he turned back to encourage the rest of us along. The air was thick with desperation and chaos, an unsettling cocktail of dread and determination. We pushed forward, adrenaline drowning out our fear. Just as we reached the doors, a sound sliced through. It was more than noise. It was a command that sent a chill twisting through me. Stop! Police! The voice was authoritarian, reminiscent of the officer, yet it thrummed with an edge of chaos. A figure emerged in the distance, cloaked in shadows, a glance that promised authority and danger intertwined. Go, go! Sam roared as he shoved us through the door, urgency propelling us into the unfamiliar hallway. The dim lights flickered, casting ghostly shadows that danced with every step we took. I didn't know where we were heading, only that we had to find safety. The path grew distant behind us, echoing with shouted orders, and I felt like I was trapped inside a nightmare. Would we escape the clutches of whoever hunted us? The possibility chased us, gnawing at my heart. Abruptly, we rounded a corner only to be met by a group of menacing figures. They loomed like specters shrouded in darkness, their faces obscured but their intentions clear. My gut twisted, recognizing here was where panic devoured hope. "Get away from her!" Sam yelled, lunging protectively in front of us. A flash of something metallic glinted in the notes of dim light, cold and foreboding. "Move aside," a voice snarled, emerging with a bearing that cloaked a sinister calm. "You don't know what you're getting into." Fingers clawed at my chest. The confrontation loomed before us, an undeniable ultimatum. Fight or flight. Trust or betrayal. "Sam, are we ready for this?" I whispered, the weight of the moment crashing down around us. But before he could answer, another echoing crash came from behind, a signal that the chaos was not behind us but closing in from all directions. I took a step back, heart pounding. What are we going to do? And as the shadows danced ever closer, the terrible reality dawned. This was no longer just about survival. It was about the truth lurking in the shadows, and I was terrified of what it might unveil. "Run!" Sam shouted, the only thing left sounding in my ears as we charged toward destiny. Would we uncover the secrets of Danny's life? Or would those secrets drown us in the tide? The hallway spun around them as they dashed forward, the thudding of feet echoing in the darkness. Sam led the way, eyes fierce and determined. Lila clutched my hand tightly, her small frame trembling but full of resolve. Matthew was right behind us, more courageous than I had ever seen him. "Where are we going?" I gasped, adrenaline driving my voice higher. Sam shot me a quick glance over his shoulder. "There's an emergency exit ahead. We can get outside and regroup." Behind them the chaos roared on, the sound of footsteps and shouting engulfing the faint grasp of hope. I could feel the air thickening with dread, each breath a desperate gasp. Why had it come to this? All I had wanted was to protect my family. As we sprinted forward, images of the night raced through my mind. Danny, the knife, the desperation, the gunshot. Each thought was a jagged edge cutting into me. I couldn't let my children see how scared I truly was. Finally, we reached the emergency exit. I shoved the heavy door, the metal scraping against the frame as it slammed open. Cold night air blasted against us. But outside, darkness greeted us like a thick shroud, swallowing everything around. "Stay close," Sam commanded, pushing us into the alley behind the building, the cold pavement beneath our feet sending shockwaves of panic through me. "Where do we go from here?" Matthew asked, peering into the night, searching for safety among the shadows. "Nothing is safe." Lila's voice trembled, but I could feel a spark of strength within her, just waiting to ignite. "Trust me, we can't stay here," Sam insisted, his eyes scanning the alleys. "They'll come out looking for us. We need to keep moving." Without another word, he led us further into the darkness. Every step felt like a countdown, each moment stretched taut like a rubber band ready to snap. My heart raced, pounding a frantic rhythm, the fear forming a tight knot in my stomach. As we wound through the narrow alleyways, a thought crept through the chaos in my mind. What had Danny drawn us into? What darkness lay ahead? "Sam, what did Danny get himself mixed up in?" He hesitated, glancing back at us, his expression urgent. "I'll explain later. First, we need to stay alive. We can't let them catch us, but I've seen things. I can't let you get caught in this." Why not just call the police?" Matthew questioned, pushing against his growing fear. Both of us hoping for a light in the middle of this storm. "Because they don't know the whole truth. It's deeper than you think," Sam replied, and an unbearable silence filled that gap. He turned sharply at a corner and motioned for us to keep going. I pushed the thought from my mind. I needed to focus. An ambient noise began to rise from the direction we had come, the gnawing panic tightening in my throat. "Keep moving," Sam urged, and once more we broke into a run. I could hear shouting and chaos approaching. It was only a matter of time before everything crashed into us once more. But then safety emerged, a faint light ahead, flickering like a beacon of hope. We could make it, could escape this nightmare. As we neared the intersection, that light grew brighter, but so did my unease. The brightness was accompanied by the beeping of vehicles. The police were nearing. "Over here," I urged, leading Lila and Matthew toward the light as we turned the last corner. At the end of the street, a diner glowed in the night, a haven amidst chaos. Sam grabbed my arm, pulling me close. "If they see us, I don't care." I insisted, anger swelling within me. We can't hide forever. We need help. With a final glance down the alleyway, Sam nodded, and we rushed toward the diner doors. Inside, warmth engulfed us, the smell of food mixing with the air, offering a strange comfort in our moment of chaos. But my thoughts spiraled back. This place was only temporary safety. I had to confront the storm waiting for us at home, faces looking for Danny, the truths we still needed to unpack. As I scanned the small diner, I felt the weight of secrecy and guilt pressing down with every heartbeat. Would we ever find peace again? Suddenly, the door swung open, rattling the bell above it, and in walked a figure cloaked in shadows. My breath caught in my throat as the familiar face stepped into the light. "Julia," I exclaimed, my heart flipping, hope igniting and flickering dangerously. "I swear, if something happened to you guys," she began, her voice breaking as she rushed toward us. "I came to help." Fear and relief crashed together inside of me, a violent storm threatening to pull me under. But I felt the familiarity of family, and insofar as it felt like hope, I embraced my sister, not knowing how this would end, just knowing that we needed to face it together. Out of the heavy silence, Lila's voice rang clear. "Are we safe now?" The innocence behind it broke my heart. I squeezed her hand tighter. "We're together," I replied, forcing strength into my words. "And together we'll face whatever comes next." And as we huddled close in the warmth of safety, truth loomed ahead, ready to pull the curtain on our hidden past. But there was strength in our unity, and perhaps, just perhaps, we could unravel the threads of darkness together and find our way into the light. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this intense conclusion. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this gripping end. This is your moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share.